Behold, the project area, post-Twitch streaming. The monitor that I used to have over here is now my second screen for streaming on Twitch. So while everything's non-functional over here, I'm going through everything and deciding what kind of obsolete stuff do I want to get rid of. And that's where we get to today's discussion about speaker wire. So this is some obviously PackIn speaker wire that came with, it might have been the Onkyo system, maybe the Logitech speakers, I don't know. But the bottom line is I've never used it. It is still mint, never been used, still has the tie on it and everything. It's just been sitting and sitting and sitting. It's even nicely tinned in the whole 9 yards, and it hasn't picked up any oxidation over the years. That looks nice. This is mint, and yet I've never used it. Its entire existence is to just sit and sit and sit and sit and sit and eventually just be recycled or something. So why haven't I used this? Because there's always been something better. Here's nothing exciting. RCA 16-gauge speaker wire, a little $10 reel that you can pick up at Walmart. There's a 100-foot one that is $20 instead of $10. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. You can buy better speaker wire somewhere to not have to use the PackIn stuff. Which makes me wonder, why exactly do we even need this stuff in the first place if anybody who's serious about what it is that they're doing is never going to use this? So you're basically, this is just guaranteed e-waste right here. So, why? Why would you do something like this? So yeah, it would cost more if that kind of stuff was the default wiring that was packaged with everything. But here's the thing. You're spending $400, $500, $600, hundreds of dollars, if not more, on an audio system with PackIn wiring and stuff like that. Is it really the end of the world if the price goes up a little bit more to include some of this type of stuff with your system instead of this? That's something I've never really been able to figure out. Oh, but what about storage space in the warehouse as part of the manufacturing process and cost of goods sold and stuff like that? Okay, but if you're constantly sending this stuff out, if you're sending this stuff out as default wiring that's actually worth using, and then you pay a premium to upgrade afterwards, then what's the point here? I mean, with what you're spending on sound equipment, is it really the end of the world if the price goes up just a little bit more so you don't get throwaway wiring that nobody who would spend that amount of money on sound equipment is ever going to use because they're always going to have something better because they're actually an enthusiast when it comes to sound? I don't know. It's just one of those things that just occurred to me when I looked at these things. I was like, oh yeah, these are brand new. I've never used them before because the gauge is thinner than the stuff I've had the entire time that I've had this speaker wire. So really gets you thinking. I'm sure there's some kind of manufacturing or business or cost-related reason why this is a thing. Heck, it could even be razor and blades, where they'll sandbag you to make you want to buy better wire to support the sales of the better speaker wire instead of just giving it away with, instead of just including it in the price of what you purchased in the first place. But that's the thing. I mean, this is basically guaranteed e-waste unless you repurpose the wire for something else. And that's one of the reasons why I have all this stuff sitting around, because I hate contributing to e-waste. I really hate contributing to the ongoing problem of e-waste in the world, but unfortunately I just can't find uses for a lot of this stuff, like cables and wires and stuff like that I have sitting around. That landline telephone might be a completely different story, but I mean, these things, they still look nice. The wires are very nicely tinned at the ends. This would be great as speaker wire if I ever actually had a use for it. But finding a use for it is the challenge, So, again, to recap, why is this included instead of this, when this would raise the price only modestly considering what sound equipment costs in the first place? And anybody who's serious about spending that amount of money on sound equipment is never going to use the PackIn wire that comes with the system. So, just some things that have me scratching my head as I try to pare down what I want to keep around here, because quite frankly, there's just way too much clutter, and it's time to say goodbye to some obsolete stuff that I have over here. MultimediaJay out.